Hey guys, welcome back to Fantasy Tipped. Julian here for another exciting waiver wire episode. This one for week 6. Before I jump into the content today, guys, drop a like and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We recently hit 8,000 subscribers, so thank you so much once again for that. Let's continue to grow that subscriber count, and maybe we can hit 9,000 this year. If you guys have been subscribed a while and want to take your support a little bit further, you can hit that join button on YouTube, or even better, down in the description below is a link to my Patreon. If you join my Patreon, you get access to be able to DM me with any fantasy hockey questions that you have, and you get early access to all the videos that I post. Let's go into it now, guys, and let's take a look at the schedule for week 6. Now on Monday, November 11th, there are 6 games. Tuesday, there are 7. Wednesday, 5. Thursday, 10. Friday, 5. Saturday, 12. And Sunday, 4. So the busy nights are really Thursday and Saturday, and every other night of the week is technically an off night or off day, whatever you want to call it. But Thursday and Saturday aren't the busiest days ever, so it's still possible that you might have room in your schedule those days. So off days isn't super important this week. It's definitely important to look in your lineup and actually see what days you have room for a position. All right, so who has the best schedule? It's the Vegas Golden Knights. They play 4 games and they're all on off days. They play Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Pretty freaking great. And then the 3 next best schedules are Carolina, Nashville, and Pittsburgh, who play 4 games, 3 of which are on off days. And then the Seattle Kraken, St. Louis Blues, and Vancouver Canucks are the other 3 teams that have 4 days this week. And they also play on 2 off days, which is not bad at all. The teams with the bad schedule, naturally, are the teams that only play 2 games this week. There is no teams that played less than that, thankfully. The Anaheim Ducks, the Chicago Blackhawks, the Minnesota Wild, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Utah Hockey Club only play 2 games this week, so they don't have the best schedule. Although Anaheim and Utah, at least both of their games are on off days. So let's take a look at some forward options that you can consider adding to your team. And the first one on this list is Evgeny Malkin of the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's actually playing left wing now and has gained that eligibility, playing on that top line with Crosby and Raquel. And that line is doing really well. Obviously, he's top power play with those 2 guys as well. So his ceiling is pretty high. I know Pittsburgh hasn't been that great, but the deployment could not be better for Malkin. I like him a lot here. Dylan Strome up to 63% now. He's been absolutely insane to start this year, playing top line and top power play with Ovechkin. He's definitely someone you want to be owning. I know he's natural center, otherwise he'd probably be way higher owned, but if you can fit him somehow, do it. And the Capitals actually do have 3 off nights this week for all 3 of their games, so definitely possibly fits in your lineup actually this week. Arturi Lehkonen has finally come back from injury and is playing in the top 6 and top power play. Definitely someone you want to be adding with all the injuries that the Avs have. And Valeri Nichushkin, someone you want to be adding right now to your IR because he is confirmed to be back on November 15th. And trust me, guys, this guy's upside is like a top 60 player. So if you get that top power play, he's going to be absolutely someone you need to have in your lineup. So add him now. He can really change your course of this season. Alex Laferriere is someone who's playing left wing on the 3rd line. While it doesn't seem like great deployment, and it isn't, he is getting top power play time, and there he is thriving. He should gain that left wing eligibility as well. Then I have Tom Wilson and Connor McMichael, who are playing on the 2nd line in Washington, and they are both thriving. McMichael's putting up so many points, and Tom Wilson is putting up less points, but better peripherals with those shots and those hits. Both are very good ads. William Karlsson is a good ad for the off nights and the 4 games that Vegas has this week. He is a natural center, but because Vegas plays Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, you might actually be able to fit him in your lineup all of those days. Definitely check before you add him, but it's definitely a possibility, and he definitely can score you some points. JJ Peterka is someone that I don't understand why he's not more than 35% owned. He's been awesome this year. Top line, top power play, looks great. Is someone that needs to be owned in more leagues. Gabriel Velarde, top line, top power play, is absolutely starting to light it up. Now is the time to add him. This dude goes on crazy point streaks, and if this is one of them, enjoy the ride. Ricard Raquel, like I said with Malkin, is playing on the top line with Malkin and Crosby. Top power play as well. Dude's pretty much giving you a safe floor every night with those shots, and he's scoring points left and right. While it is a little bit unsustainable, the dude's balling out right now, and the deployment's really good, so definitely add him to your team. Josh Norris has slowed down a little bit, but he's still top power play, 2nd line in Ottawa. good deployment there. Pavel Dorofeev is playing on the second line in Las Vegas, and as long as he is there this week, he is valuable because of the off nights that Vegas has. He's definitely someone you want to be streaming for this week. Kiefer Sherwood's playing on the third line in Vancouver and is still putting up really, really good hits totals. And as a bonus, he's putting up like a decent amount of goals and assists as well. Like, it's not bad, the points that he's putting up. He's definitely someone you want to be owning in any type of league that counts hits. Fabian Zetterlund of the San Jose Sharks is someone who's kind of balling out right now as well. Second line, top power play. As long as he's hot, keep him on your team. Ryan Donato is kind of an interesting one here because the Blackhawks have a terrible schedule this week, but I had to include him here just because people would ask me, where's Ryan Donato, if I didn't include him. Now, he just gained that right wing eligibility, which is awesome, but he's actually not playing the night that I'm recording this. He's not playing on the top line with Bedard anymore. He was just dropped down to the fourth line. So that's a bit weird considering he's their hottest player. I don't know if Chicago was trying to tank on purpose so that they don't win games, but Donato was playing really, really well. Maybe he'll still be able to do decently from that fourth line. We're going to have to wait and see, and maybe he gets shuffled right back up to the top two lines again, but Donato might be someone you have to drop this week, but for now I'm including him here because I know people are going to say, where's Ryan Donato, if I didn't include him. Connor Garland's actually playing on the second line right now with Elias Pettersson and Pius Suter. Decent deployment for him, playing top power play as well, so definitely the upside is there for Connor Garland to put up some points. And this week the Canucks do have a pretty favorable schedule. Another team that has a pretty favorable schedule is the St. Louis Blues, and someone who just went through a crazy injury scare is Dylan Holloway, and literally did not miss a game after that, which is really, really awesome to see. He's probably the hottest Blues player right now. He's playing top line, and he's thriving right now. And even though he's not getting top power play time, he's still managing to put up points. So if you're in a deep league looking for someone who has a good schedule, Dylan Holloway might be the way to go. Much like Pavel Dorofeev, Brett Howden is also playing on that second line in Vegas with Thomas Hertl. Now, Brett Howden hasn't been quite as good as Pavel Dorofeev, but for the off nights this week, it might be worth adding him. His floor has been pretty decent with those hits, and he's been putting up points relatively frequently as well. If you're in a deep league, consider streaming Brett Howden for those 4 off night games that Vegas has this week. And finally, Jack Roslovic, only 1% rostered on the Carolina Hurricanes top line right now with Sebastian Aho. That is a great deployment to be in, and he has been scoring lots of goals. Has not scored a single assist this year, but the goals keep on coming. And honestly, Carolina has a great schedule this week as well, so definitely consider streaming him for that. Jumping into defensemen, and this might be the last week that I can include Brandt Clarke on this list. He's up to 69% rostered, and I don't include players that are over 70% rostered on these lists. He's been awesome. He's top power play in Los Angeles, and that power play has not been too bad. He's been putting up points basically every game or two. The peripherals have been a lot better, kind of getting better since the beginning of the year, which is awesome to see. So Brandt Clarke's definitely someone you want to be owning. Darnell Nurse, his peripherals have been getting a lot better as of late, and he could still put up a point every couple of games or so. Definitely nice to see Darnell Nurse putting up those peripherals that we're used to seeing once again. Colton Parayko of the St. Louis Blues is kind of going crazy right now with some great peripherals, putting up points as well. The points are not sustainable, but the peripherals are. He was great last year for that. Owen Power, up to 38% rostered. Not my favorite option as well, but he's looking really good, scoring points kind of almost every game right now. The peripherals are pretty decent as well, which is nice to see. Obviously, he's not PP1, so he's not a super priority ad or anything, but we might be starting to see the emergence of Owen Power here, and those peripherals are nothing to scoff at. Jake Wallman is injured at the time of this recording. The coach kind of held him out of a game, and then he actually got injured, which is weird to see. But anyway, he's a top power play guy in San Jose, and when he's healthy, he's doing pretty good. Like, he just came off a really, really hot stretch for San Jose, and I can't imagine that they're going to be benching him a whole lot longer. He's someone that you want on your team. Now, much like the previous week, this week Nashville also has a really good schedule. So if you stream Jeremy Lauzon, or he's still available to you, consider adding him if you're in a Bangers League. The dude's still hitting a whole lot and gives you a very, very safe floor night in and night out because of that. Caden Gooley, someone who's great for Montreal as well, putting up some safe peripherals as a floor. Luke Shen is kind of returning to his form of old. Look at those peripherals he's putting. Seriously, go on Yahoo, check those peripherals. If you like him, pick him up because he's got a great schedule this week with 4 games. Jared Spurgeon does not have a great schedule, but he's someone who's always been pretty good for fantasy. Obviously, he's not top power play like he used to be, but he's definitely someone who could still put up points and decent peripherals. He may not be the best stream this week because Minnesota only plays 2 games, but definitely keep an eye on him. And finally, Matt Grzelcyk is 0% rostered, but he's top power play in Pittsburgh and has been putting up points almost every night. Just keep in mind, the peripherals are pretty much nothing at all, so if he doesn't score a point, he's a huge bust for you in your lineup, but if you're in a super deep league, you could definitely throw a dart on him. Jumping into goalies here, and I don't have him listed, but Lucas Dostal is still only 69% rostered the last time I checked. So if he is not owned in your league, now's your chance to still add him for some reason if he hasn't been added yet. Joey Decord is the first goalie I have written here, and he is the starting goalie in Seattle. They're still giving Grubauer some starts, which is a bit weird, but he hasn't exactly been great with them, so Decord should continue to get the vast majority of the starts. Kevin Lankinen, up to 64% rostered, has been great for Vancouver, is the unequivocal starting goalie over there. And until Demko returns, he's going to continue to get almost every start in Vancouver. Connor Ingram hasn't been that amazing this year, but he is the starter in Utah and will continue to get the bulk of the starts. Then Thompson and Lindgren are literally splitting one game. Both are very, very good options to own, and both have been decent this year, just like the Washington Capitals have been very good. Cam Talbot is the starter right now in Detroit. It's kind of going back and forth, Cam Talbot will have a couple of good games, and then he'll suck. And then they'll give a couple of good games to Lyon, and then he'll suck. So right now it's Cam Talbot the starter, but that could switch at any point. Wolf and Vladar are the starting goalies in Calgary. They're kind of splitting. They were splitting 1-1-1-1, and then Vladar went and got a shutout, so then he got a second game in a row. And now Wolf is starting 2 games in a row. It's a bit confusing on how they're splitting the starts at this point, but it's my opinion that they're going to be still splitting about 50-50. In Colorado, Justus Anunen is the best goalie over there. The night that I'm recording this, they are giving the start to Georgiev, so if he wins that start and plays well, it's possible that he gains some momentum and gets some more starts. But Anunen is definitely someone you want to be owning, especially if you are a Georgiev owner. Mrazek and Brossoit I have on the list for the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, Mrazek has been really good this year for Chicago and has been their starting goalie. But Brossoit is expected to be back like any second now. And if he does come back, Brossoit could realistically start taking away starts from Mrazek, and it might be a little bit more of a split goaltending situation if Brossoit plays well. Alex Nedeljkovic is the unequivocal number 1 right now in Pittsburgh. He started like 4 games in a row now, so he's the guy you want to be owning over there, even though Pittsburgh's not that good. Samuel Ersson is the guy in Philadelphia. He's injured as I'm making this recording, but should be back next game, so don't worry too much about that. Elvis Merzlikins of the Columbus Blue Jackets is the number 1 goalie, and Columbus has played pretty well as of late, so he's an option in points-based league. And finally, if you're really desperate, there are 2 goalies that are the starters for the San Jose Sharks, and they're pretty much splitting evenly. That's Blackwood and Vanacek, and they're only owned in 3% of leagues. I would only advise in a very, very deep points-based league, though. And that's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed the content today, drop a like and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next episode of Fantasy Tipped.